Well, welcome back to Infinifactory. I am your humble host, SpoonsAsunder, and I'm in my cell, of course, again, working for these aliens, making munitions for probably wiping out the rest of humanity, the ones that they don't enslave, of course. And I get my food pellet. I gotta eat the floor pellet first, and maybe a few of these, because I guess I'm hungry. But they gave me a trophy. It's a participation trophy, of course. If I had fun, I won, so I definitely won. I'll throw that in the corner again and keep working for these overlords. So the next puzzle is the one I think I started. Yeah, so I was starting to figure out this one at the end of the last one, and I need to get back to that. This one is tricky because the speeds were weird. I only have one source of that one, and I still need to split it after it's done, which is the easy part. So I need to work on getting the speeds correctly and somehow alternating one off from this one to go to the other side of this one in order to put one on each side, because I still don't think I can rotate. Yeah, I can push it to another track, but I can't actually rotate the block, because it would be easy to like weld one on and then rotate it a couple times and then weld the next one, but nope. I'm guessing that'll probably be one of these unknown pieces, because that seems like a cool key mechanic that would be easy to do and very helpful, but not yet. Gotta work with what I got. So I'm doing this to try to give myself a little breathing room. I'm trying to solve it on the max input speed because I know that'll give me the best time, I think. Assuming that the whole cycle count thing does matter on how fast the input, I would think that the input speed would make a faster cycle count. But I'm not sure about that. If it doesn't matter, I'll just slow it down, but I think it matters. So I'm going to try to solve it on max speed, and because of that, I want a little bit of a gap, otherwise I'd just put this right up to it like I was doing last time, but that seemed to be a bit of a problem. So I'm thinking of this one coming here to rest first, and then I can push it like here to, no, not that one. You'd think R would be rotate, but no, R is start the thing. It's E to rotate. So yeah, then it'll push another one over to this side where it can weld to the other side, is what I'm thinking. That might be a terrible idea. So I can pause it, which is very helpful. Not sure if this will work. Let's do this and see where they end up. Yeah, that doesn't work. I tried to lead this one down, but there's not enough gap there for it to actually do that. So maybe if I slow that down a little. Yeah, it's still only one. And because I can't rotate them, I kind of have to weld them in this orientation. I can't do it lengthwise like this. I have to do it that way. Otherwise I won't be able to get it to this orientation to get it to the goal. Because it would be easier to try to weld it going this way. But nope, gotta be this way. Okay. So I found a way to alternate. If I put the sensor one offset, it will do every other one, which is good. Now I can set them to different paths. I just need to figure out how to path both sets. It seems like I'm getting too many of these, because the rate at which it outputs is almost identical. Yeah, so I'm gonna have way more of these than I need. So I don't really know how to just leave some. I suppose I could just let them pile up and like only push the ones, or only grab the ones that I need that are actually welded as they should be, and I guess that works. Because who cares if I'm wasting some of the equipment for these aliens? It's not like I really want to do this anyway. I am a prisoner after all. I think I'm going to actually put this pusher on this side, because I mean they should be going that way anyway, right? I'm gonna get fancy about this. I'm thinking of trying to rotate it like that, and then weld these as they come in somehow. Yeah, I can do that, and then put welders up here, because then I want the excess ones to just go off into an infinite pile down in between here, and the ones that are actually welded I want to somehow come this way, and I think this might do that, sort of, but it welds wrong. The concept I think is about right though. Maybe I just need to slow this one down. See if that fixes it. Well, now they're all getting wasted. Okay, so slow it down a little too much. So the solution is slow it down more, right? Nope. Yeah, so the problem is that they're also still coming too fast and they're pushing this one over, which is welding on the extra instead of wasting it. So maybe I can weld one tile farther, like up here instead, but I'm not so sure about that. These do still fall, right? Yep, they do. Oh well. So if I do this, will that fix it? Nope, because they don't weld, like they're lined up correctly. See, I would think that would work in concept. It would just weld every other one and then waste every other one, but does the welding like delay them somehow? That's why wasn't that working? It does. Okay, it delays them one like cycle, I guess, 1 second of staying still to weld them. That's why the timing's off. How do I get around that? Well, I mean, maybe if I can get the other one of these blocks onto that side to push it out of the way, it'll weld that instead. I don't know if I can do that though. That would be very challenging to get it to path that direction. Yeah, because it's so hard to cross the lines in this game. Not those. I want these. If I can somehow get it to go over here. I still don't think that'll work, because then I can't extend the ones that are welded unless it happens to push these farther and I'm not thinking about it. Yeah, that doesn't work. It pushes the excess one over. It's somewhat close in concept though, I just need to tweak the timing. I don't know why I tried that again. That just doesn't work. Okay. That works a little better. The excess are going over here, which is not what I wanted. And these are welded. So, oops. Okay. I fell to my death because I forgot about my jetpack and there's an edge there. Just pretend that didn't happen. I'm fine. So yeah, these weld. Not that button. These weld, and then they push. They just go over here a little too quickly for this concept to work. and then it does another like half circle. Can I just extend this? Like one more. Why does it keep doing those? I'm selecting this. Like this. I wonder if I can just extend it. Will that make any difference? Not a good difference. That is one thing about these games. They do tend to be extremely complex. At least in the ways that I try to solve them. Maybe they're a lot simpler than they really are, and I'm just trying too hard to make it as efficient as possible. But because of that, I'm not sure if I can afford the time and energy to actually record these. I do like them, and I didn't know there was as much story, so I really want to keep going with this game. But I mean, I'm not even very far through it, and they're getting to take a lot of time for me to try to figure this out. And I don't really like the concept of being able to change the input speed, because that'll just mess with everything. I mean, the solution can vary vastly based on however fast they're going to be input. So yeah, because that's really just the key concept that is screwing me up, is that speed. And I wonder if it's designed to have like a proper speed that the solution will only really work well at a certain speed for each puzzle, which just adds a layer of problem solving that doesn't need to be there, in my opinion, if that is the case. So yeah, I will solve this puzzle in this episode, but I think this has already like taken up all the time for a whole episode for me just trying to figure out this one puzzle, and there's not even a dead guy in this one to listen to. So yeah, I probably won't keep filming this game. I might play it in my free time, and I think I've said before that I might not continue, but I wanted to continue anyway, so I mean, take that with a grain of salt, as I do everything, of course. But yeah, probably not, just because it takes so long to solve these, at least for me. So yeah, that's sad. So I'll probably cut out a lot here and actually get to some sort of solution that works, and then end everything there. Okay, so one thing I noticed, I wanted to see exactly how fast these are able to arrive, and it does appear that the white ones, are coming out exactly twice as fast as these, even on the fastest setting. So that's good, because that means the ratio is correct, regardless of the speed. But okay, so I was trying to put them in two lines here and have them meet. The turning doesn't matter for this one, but if I try to turn this line just here to get them to go side by side, I was going to just weld them above. But the act of turning them on a belt like that actually slows down this line halfway. So it just slows them down to half of their speed that they need to be, just to route them correctly. And I would guess that pushing them would do the same, if not worse, because it takes so much time to do so. So like, that's a big problem. And I wasn't considering the fact that just routing them around was somehow going to slow them down. But apparently it does. And I don't know how to get away from that. Unless I can put two side by sides. Like, yeah, that doesn't, it's not going to just push. Like a normal conveyor belt system would just keep pushing. It wouldn't wait for these to be done, you know, already on the other belt. They would just kind of go diagonal like, and push as fast as it was going to push. But this doesn't obey those normal physics because it's game physics, and it's got to be simple. So yeah, that severely limits my solution if I can't turn them. I have to have these going in a straight line to have the ratio be correct, which means that I have to leave this one here before I can even think about welding it, because that way they would meet every other one to weld. But I still have to somehow split off every other one here without letting it slow down the line, which I don't even know if that's possible. So I'm going to attempt to do that. I'm just going to weld them as soon as they meet, because this should be a steady line, and whenever this meets the line, it'll weld on one. And then I guess try to route them away and see if that will slow down the line. It still might, even though it's pulling from that direction. It does. It definitely slows it down. That slows it down a lot. So much so that the ratio is off again by half. So that just doesn't work. See, that's the thing, because the welder slows it down, the conveyor's turning slows it down, the pushers slow it down. Everything just screws up all the timing, and then I have the ability to directly mess with the timing just as much. And I was hoping this would be a puzzle that is based on logistics rather than, you know, just the timing of the actual logistics. So that's a little more annoying. If it worked like regular things and didn't slow it down just to route it in a certain place, that would be a lot easier and more realistic to deal with. But I don't like that. Okay, so I want to see how much the speed actually does affect the cycle count, because if it doesn't, I can turn this into just a logistics puzzle and just always solve it on the slowest speed so the machines don't have an effect on the solution. So let's see, at max speed, I'm just going to time this and see there it's at the end, and that takes 8 or 9 cycles according to that number in the corner, and it outputs, you know, 7 of these. So my question is, if I slow it down to very, very slow, oh, I can even go negative. Alright, how about if it's normal speed and I play it? Is the cycle count going to be the same? Not that button. Yeah, see, that cycle count is still 8 or 9, but I only get 2 blocks. So it is the same cycle count for a much less of a return on blocks, which means the speed actually is a factor, which is what I was thinking and why I was complaining, because that would mean that the best solution is at the speed that is as fast as possible. So I think at +3 speed instead of max, these still come in every other one, and that might be easier to deal with because I can turn them then without messing with the input, I believe. So I'm just going to try to solve it at +3, because if it is solvable at max, I don't want to spend the time trying to do that, to be honest. Which is, to me, a bad sign for a game. If it's like, it might be possible, but I just don't want to do it, that is not indicative of a fun game to me. So it's unfortunate that realizing that one concept kind of destroys the fun of the game for me, but it is what it is. I know this developer has not been making games for very long, but has made several by now, and they are getting progressively better, but I mean, they are a little needlessly complex in my mind. If that's the genre he wants to go for, that's fine, but yeah. So that's good, it doesn't slow it down. They're just offset as they shouldn't be. Which one gets there first? Actually, they would just meet in the middle there, wouldn't they? They would if I put the welder in the right place. That's good. So the first one welds. Yeah, I can definitely solve it at this speed. That's what I'm gonna do. Because the first one does weld, and then I can set up a pusher to be 2 sensors 2 tiles away to then push every other one to the other side, and then I can just delay it. So that'll work. Oh, see, because they're already welded, so this is just gonna pull it rather than this one. How does it choose which one to do if it's gonna go 2 ways? Like, both of these should be effect on the welded piece. Why does it choose this one rather than that one? I don't know. Again, in a real world scenario, it would kind of just fall off of here diagonally and fail. It wouldn't just pick one or pick the other. But whatever. Well, maybe I can sort of finagle this, have it push that there, like that, and then put the welder on the other side. And I don't need these, don't need these. This should align it correctly. Well, this is a problem. I think it's because it's pushing it right there and not allowing it enough space. Maybe this will work? It's kind of weird, but I think it might work. Being this and then welding it here. That's strange, but I think it'll work. I kind of have them dancing around here. It might if I just had them on a platform. Like that, yep. That one didn't work properly. It did one, and then failed. And then, why is this still getting caught up? I don't understand. As soon as that pusher tries to push something, it slows it down too much. We have to slow this down again. +2, does that fix it? No, that makes it so much worse. Of course. Okay, so I promised that I would solve this for the end of the episode and probably the series. But I've been at this puzzle for probably over an hour now. I even stopped the recording because I was just sitting here thinking that I didn't want to have so much useless data. But I did solve it, and I managed to solve it at +3 speed, which is 1 less than max. So it should be a really good solution. I haven't let it run yet, but I know it works. So it's slightly elegant, maybe. It works, and it looks kind of cool, but I don't know if it's as efficient as it can be. So I'll try to walk you through it here. First, they come in like this and immediately weld the one. I have a sensor here. Yeah, so this sensor will just tell this one to push everything that comes in contact with it, but it will only sense the ones that are welded. So it will not sense these spare ones, which will keep them both in line like that. It just offsets it, and then that causes this line to grab the welded ones and pull it over here, which will then path it back to set up for this welder, while the single ones will continue along with their path to sit right here and wait for these to line up to get welded like this. And then that welds the third one. This is the finished product. This is what it's supposed to be. And then these lines are both going to the endpoints, and I have this little sensor going to this pusher to just push every other one. So it will go like that. That one through, push the next one, that one through, push the next one. And then they go over to their respective goals here fall down and go in there. And it's finally done. So let's just speed that up. See how I did. Wow. Okay. Well, that's basically the fastest I can go. So I am far above the curve on the speed, so that's good. And I'm pretty good in everything else. So that was actually a very good solution, apparently. But it took me so long to get there, and that's how I play these type of efficiency games. Is I'm not going to settle for a solution if I know it's not very efficient, which is why I spend an hour on one puzzle easily, especially when it does the stupid speed thing that I have to deal with. So yeah, it would just take too much time for me to play this as I would want to play it. So if I have a lot of time on my hands, I will play it in my free time. But I think I'm done with the videos, despite finally figuring out how to do it correctly with the speed. I'll probably go back and redo these and actually speed it up to get a better time, but apparently I was doing really well in this game if I was getting that good of a solution without even using the max speed. Because some of these solutions I know I can just speed up and they'll work, because the timing wasn't really an issue. But this one, cycle count is the most important stat. I mean, it's fastest. Footprint, blocks, doesn't matter. They're free, they're just alien stuff. So, this episode probably ran long. Maybe I might cut out some of this because it was just one puzzle and it's probably hard to watch me just struggle through it. But anyway, this is Infinifactory, and it is fun if you want a challenge in engineering. Many thanks for watching this video and this series, and until next time, may your spoons remain.